Get a drink, have a good time now. Welcome to paradise, 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 paradise.
All right. Bit hot, bring it down. All right. Well, feels like, I guess more so than any other, it's funny because the vibes were just very clearly, I don't know why we were so confident in this, but a lot of people I talked to were just like, if anything's happening, it's gonna be a Geo or a Grievous support. Or you think about the teams that have not seen love in a good long while, this seemed about right. I do have some concerns. I guess, I mean, it's more so because most of his videos are separatist related. A lot of people see me as the separatist guy. I don't really see myself that way. It was more so just that the separatists had a lot of cool stuff going on. But being as they were some of my first major projects, I do tend to have a lot of residual knowledge from that stuff. And as old as those videos are, there's a lot of mechanics that still apply now. I'll be very curious to try to apply that lens to this kit. See what sticks, see how things are looking. Yeah. We shall see. Let's get to it. Hello. So, let's talk. I have not seen this kit at all. I just saw the name of the art. Tags tend to be a little bit important lately. Attackers, separatists, okay. But this is not the dark side droid tank that Afro will inevitably look to jack someday. This is not that. JAC Omicron to lift General Grievous. We kind of expected this after they gave it to Droideka in TW. If I'm looking at the separatists as a whole, be a little bit honest with you, I feel like the Geos could use the help a little bit more than Grievous right now, but certainly both wouldn't mind it. Grievous has lost, like, I mean, Grievous versus CLS still kind of works, but, like, CLS has gotten scarier in a lot of recent metas. You know, he can still go, like, JML hunting, kind of go Starkiller hunting, but especially the Starkiller, I mean, hey, I lost that Starkiller fight last season. B2 didn't activate, and it turns out we like when B2 activates. But the biggest concern that I have right now is what they did with Droideka Omicron, whether they do that here, which is making the team Separatist Droid factional. CG likes to... Right, it's like they release Trench, and they just really want to make sure that you want to use the Trench people with Trench. And there are worlds, including this one, where you really... I mean, that was the whole point of the original Grievous video, right? Is to point out to people and make them realize, like, hey, Newt in Grievous is kind of not optional. And so this is the kind of context that we're going to have to look for in this kit. Newt really is not kind of optional, right? That's why every time someone's like, hey, you could run BB-8, it's like, I get why you're saying it, but you don't realize how much Terminator you throw away for losing Newt. So even though Grievous' relative position in the meta is definitely fallen some, I would still say that he has some fairly large bridges to fill. Worth noting in the meantime that while they are still large breaches to fill, while set 13 is active, if you run an Amplify Agony level 3, it is acting as a bootleg Newt, so essentially you could run Newt without having to run Newt for the next 3-ish months. So that is a variable. They printed Amp Ag on him, on this, on STAP. Alright, what's up? If they did that, props to them. They know what's up. They know me. Alright. We want to do uniques and leads. Well, just a lead. Unique first, get the contexts. Alright. Final text. Gains 10 speed for each stack of overcharge on them. I was also kind of wondering if they were ever going to bring overcharge to PvP. It was always there in the assault battles, and it always seemed like it could kind of be some of their factional identity, right? Not that everything PvE factional has to go PvP, but you could see it be... Oh, it's also in ships, right? So it technically is in PvP, but Overcharge is what the Malevolence makes, right? I think. The PvP Malevolence Overcharge, this really doesn't matter. I'm just kind of curious. Chips. Malev. Overcharge. Also defense for stacks. Maybe it is just this and not what it wasn't the assault battle with like the super shielding and all that. Okay. So we're thinking Malevolence, not assault battle. That's still good to know. Okay, so up to 50 speed, I assume it's still max stack of 5. Start a battle if all eyes are STAP droids. There it is. Newt. They don't want Newt here. Unless Afra steals STAP. We'll see. Probably not, but we'll see. Start a battle if all allies are separatist droids. Whatever an ally inflicts pinned or target lock, they also inflict damage equal to 10%. Okay. There it is. They said, you're not using Newt, but Newt's coming with. Alright. So yeah. Depending on how good this Grievous Lifter is overall, we are going to be in a double Grievous Amplify Agony meta. Basically just the same thing as we already had Newt, right? But instead of doing 4 or 5, I forget if Newt's 2 or 5. I think Newt was 5, right? So instead of doing 7%, you're doing 12%. It's not bad. Newt at home? I would say this is Newt Big Brother a little bit. Yep, perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. All that context that I gave, immediately asked and answered. Cool. Can't be evaded, good to know. Whenever STAP uses an ability other than we need to recharge, they lose a stack of overcharge. That's kind of funny. Or STAP takes true damage from an enemy. Interesting. All separatist droid allies lose 50% turn meter. Whenever STAP or an allied separatist droid tank takes true damage, specifically has to be true damage from an enemy, lose 15% turn. What's that clause? What are they? What's the push and pull they're looking for? I assume there's clauses related to losing turn meter. Yeah, we might as well escape reading. Whenever STAP takes true damage from an enemy, all STAP droids lose 50% turn meter. While in grand arenas and all eyes are STAP droids. Bonus turn at the start of the battle. Hello. I don't think we met yet. An additional bonus turn whenever an enemy takes their first turn. Hi? Okay. So 6 bonus turns. 7 if you're fighting dark side off Gideon. Noted. When STAP gains overcharge, all allies gain 20% max off the rest of the battle and recover 10% health and protection. That is roughly uncapped. So okay, we have a stacking Grievous siege engine, which is already technically kind of his identity, but we're just getting a much faster ramp on that. That's solid. Enemy clone troopers have minus 30% offense when they are inflicted with pinned or target lock. They also receive additional damage equal to 10% of their max health, 20% tax. Edward says droid allies no longer lose turn meter when STAP or droid allies take true damage from enemies. Still not sure I understand that. Will it make sense in the rest? There's not a whole ton of clauses here. Is this more so just trying to say that, like, hey, this unit is less effective in TW? Is this just kind of CG marking out territory for Droidic Omicron or something? Yeah, what's that with Droidic? Yeah, that's what it feels like. I mean, it's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of going to be one of the weird things, right? Is CG would either have to keep gating stuff to Omicrons, which is kind of lame, right? Or they have to try to... Right, this allows room... Well, wait. I guess this would also apply in Conquest, right? Stuff like that. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's... Oh, well. It's kind of goofy. Also kind of worth noting, it's not really always going to be relevant. It's more just matchup situational. I guess what you can really say is, you know, a little bit of burden of knowledge on the player. You want to know whether this is going to get your team punched on offense, but also, like, probably don't post it. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So this is, it's, pinned or target lock. The team does primarily trade in target lock. The one thing that's slightly worth noting here is Newt didn't necessarily, and the rest of the team didn't necessarily. So you're getting a bigger damage payoff, but you are technically losing some turn meter sources. Right, I'm thinking B2 basic, I'm pretty sure Grievous, both his basic and his stun, potentially lose a little bit of turn meter source. That was really fast. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of us not having kits with stats, right? We're just not gonna know today. Yeah, he's getting a bonus turn and then 6 bonus turns after, so if anything, there's a pretty decent angle that you don't really care about modding him for speed. But yeah, right, it's like B2 had buff immunity and crit down on basic, I want to say. That was kind of cut off for y'all, but yeah, buff immunity on AoE, crit damage down if they were already target locked. So slight loss of turn meter sources here. It says whenever, not whenever the first. What do you mean? What? I don't really understand what you mean. It just, I wouldn't overthink this. It's just 1 bonus turn per enemy when they take a turn. I really wouldn't overthink it. But anyway, yeah. So like, kind of one of the most defining things about Newt was the fact that characters like B2, you would get hit, B2 could use an AoE, you would hit the target lock, and then you would do 5 buff immunity. Under Newt, you would gain turn meter as if you hit them 10 times instead of 5. STAP, we will still lose that, right? So we have the AoE here, we have the buff immunity, it's not going to count. So in some ways, this is still a worse effect than Newt in terms of turn meter train. Let's look at the rests. Okay, self heal, 20% health and protection, 5 stacks of overcharge, so that is 100% offense and defense, right? So, solid buffs. Or solid stats, depending on what the base stats are. We'll need to see. CG likes to do a lot of the whole situation where they might give you buffs in the stats, but then just take it away in base stats. So tomorrow, when the update hits live, we'll need to take a look at the character's base stats to see, okay, so is this 100% offense, or is this just you have normal offense when you have 5 overcharge? Because there is a difference. There's a very big difference. Yeah, so he gains 5 overcharge, so you proc this 5 times. That is a little bit crazy, huh? When he gains overcharge, all allies gain 20% max health 5 times. CG very much has health stacking on the brain lately. Although, I guess in, you know, Separatist Droid's case, you expect it for Grievous, right? Interesting. So it's a 4-turn cooldown. And you only lose overcharge on using, what was it, on the special? But is that uses ability other than, oh no, so you lose it on basic too. So let's say you get 5 stacks the first time, and then you would expect to be getting 3 stacks every time after. Okay, so the first time is definitely most impactful, but still some value the rest of the time. Physical damage to all enemies which can't be evaded by Jedi. Inflict provoked. That was everything, right? Or was it? Oh, target ally attacks and then he assists. Targeted assist call. If we're talking all STAP droids, maybe there's some value to be said for like running Droideka in here. Grievous, you got the heal block. B1 is kind of low value. Interesting. And also maybe this ability is trying to do a little bit of solving the fabled -2 or -3 banners. Right, you could heal Grievous back to full. Although I guess to some degree, this actually might be a little bit trickier banner-wise. So one of the things was, so B1 couldn't lose banners, right? And Newt wasn't taxed by Grievous, so you could always focus on healing Newt to full, and then Grievous doesn't tax himself. So you could always heal Grievous to full. And so usually you were only really worried about banners on B2 and Droideka. But there's two factors here. So STAP should be taxable by Grievous, which means that Grievous is going to start taxing people more, especially if we're talking about the extra health ramp from all the extra overcharge. But also, you know, while we do have a little bit of healing here, I would be a little bit concerned about, I mean, what? You can heal Grievous, but everyone else might be very, very difficult to keep high. It's interesting. In terms of STAP assists, man, it's kind of tough. I mean, Grievous seems like the no-brainer. Well, since we know that we only really kind of look for target lock application now rather than debuffs, like calling B2 on someone who isn't target locked would be pretty high value. I want to say... B1's not really anything, right? It's just like a heal option, which isn't bad by any means, but... Also, isn't there something... Is Overcharge spreading a characteristic of Overcharge, or is that a part of Malevolence? Yeah, I think it's just a part of Malevolence. It's not a part of the base kit, sadly. I mean, this has a chance to target lock. So maybe if you're running Mighty Guard, you call Mighty Guard if you know they already have target lock and you just hope for the Hail Mary. You also have the Cleanse, which is decent. Droideka, I assume it's just damage, right? Yeah. Okay. So I assume that they're probably expecting that you start with this at the start of battle. I would assume. Deal damage to all enemies, which can't be evaded by Jedi. Inflict provoked on all enemies for 2 turns. Deal damage against a pinned enemy. Provoked is a little bit hard to say. Like Grievous' whole thing is stopping people from counterattacking, which is kind of counter synergetic with Provoked. I think Provoked works on assists. I think it's just on all at a turn shit, right? You create a little bit of an interesting dynamic in that, like, you could, like, if somebody assists, you could get turn meter off of the assist. And that's not necessarily... I don't hate it. It is a little bit goofy. With damage against a pinned enemies. I wonder how... I mean, the pin is only a basic, right? If, like, pinned for 2 turns, just can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Can be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Can't be dispelled or prevented on pinned Pinned is can't get bonus turn meter and has minus 25% speed. That's pretty good. %10% turn meter start if you land it, but the target lock is resistible. Keep in mind, it wouldn't be consistent. I mean, if you're looking for starting turn meter, you would just use this, right? 2 chances. I'm trying to think. Like, pinned is strong. The thing I'm kind of asking myself is, where does this, like, kind of land Grievous? Or is this, what's this expected to change for Grievous? Because we're not seeing much of, like, what the droidic Omicron did, which was, like, more of in conversation with mechanics of, like, anti-daze, anti-stun, or whatever it was he had. So we're kind of getting flavors of BB-8 with a little bit of Terminator preload. We're kind of getting flavors of Newt with a little bit of the Terminator train mechanics. But at the end of the day, this is still just getting dunked by something like Shakti Batch. You think with the extra 100% health, it is setting Grievous up to be more of an immediate monster, for sure. I have Relic 9 Grievous. I mean, they're kind of doing the thing that a lot of kits are doing right now, where, like, even if attackers at Relic 9 don't get that many stats, a lot of characters will just give, like, plus 100% health. So that R9 and an attacker character kind of makes more sense. Not by Grievous is Relic 8 right now. So, what, you imagine that STAP, and then you give Grievous Relic 9, and then you give him a bunch of health mods, and then you give him the STAP, and you kind of enter the suddenly I do a lot of damage side of the conversation. Yeah, I assume this is just going to be offense only. Does anything interesting happen off of the bonus turn clause, right? That is reactivity. But it's not really reactivity with utility, right? It's like, okay, so let's say we need to recharge. We can't really assume that the AI is going to do assist calls correctly, so we can't necessarily assume that we have, like, all target lock into land pin like we see the animation. That's what this could be if the target lock lands. If it doesn't get resisted, then, like, you would, your first bonus turn, you target lock into pin. Second bonus turn, you use AoE, it does damage twice. It gets more team turn meter, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, I still feel like Droidica Omicron is definitely better. Not to say that it's in, like, an amazing team right now. The team has a boatload of counters. It's absurd. But it's kind of more in conversation with modern SUH for sure. All eyes are immune to daze and stun. What's the immediate thing that they're going to be worried about? And STAP, so you have, like, some reactive healing, but we don't have anything like a reactive cleanse or whatever. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of questions of what STAP's base speed, what STAP's base offense. Maybe kind of care about STAP's base defense, but I don't really imagine it'll be an important stat for him. It would be good to know if the AI has any specific targeting on who he calls to assist, because that could also have a very large impact on the team's performance. The provoked is dispellable as well, so like talking like Grievous versus CLS type stuff. CLS teams tend to have a lot of starting tenacity. That would be a potential concern. Yeah, I mean, pinned is very much like flavors of the set 13 Datacron right now, right? 2-turn, unpreventable, undispellable, just boom. You apply it, it's in, it's done. Nothing they can do about it. It's a powerful effect. There's a piece of me that's like, how much do we really care about all allies being subs? All allies aren't subs with Toon dies to death. If all allies aren't sep droids, then you start gaining tools back like Newt. You start getting tools back like Mass Assists. You can potentially start tapping into pinned more often as the potential abuse case. Who do you drop for that? I'm not necessarily saying it's for sure the way to go. I'm just thinking. We have a set of tools here, and they're mostly just aggressive tools, right? It's not going to bail your team out of bad situations. But at that point, it's more just about looking for matchup dynamics where you can just try to get ahead and mow them down immediately. Drop Magna? I don't necessarily disagree with that. See, the problem is if you're dropping Magna, then there's a world where you're dropping D2. I mean, what, right? Droidica was not in the squad. Oh wait, no, sorry, I was not counting slots. Newt out for Stab and then Magna out for Droidica or some shit. No, I'm saying pick up Droidica. Here, let's just... go over here real quick. I thought there's a whole bunch here, but it just helps visualize. And this is just... like, I assume B1's in... you would imagine... like, let's say he's in... I don't know who would be the STAP stand-in. So, like, if this slot normally belongs to Newt, this is just... I guess a minus Magna Guard plus STAP, probably. It's kind of hard to say. B2 is offering a more consistent basic. Magniguard is offering speed up Grievous. Man, all the old Grievous math, it's been so long, but yeah, not a mathematician, don't really have a good sense for this, but a lot of the wisdom going around back in the day is that if a character gets a lot of a source of one stat, then you tend to want to boost other stats to complement it. Right, the whole idea that I'm about to say being, I wonder if Grievous ever transitions to crit damage, set crit damage triangle. Because then at that point you're, again, not a mathematician, this might be bullshit, but the general vibes I was told was, right, if Grievous is about to get plus 100% health, every point of crit damage applies to that, all of that 100%, versus if we just go from like 100% to 115%. That might be bullshit, but that was the general wisdom back in the day. I mean, listen, if you want to build a Grievous calculator to figure out, find out, go with God. But he's gaining a lot more health than before. So my gut says it's probably at least worth checking out crit damage sets. There might be something to that. What does he even gain? That is what? 5,400 health. Mods probably add something like, let's say 70-80%. And then it gets doubled in game and then starts ramping. If we believe in this team, then I feel like R9 Grievous is within range here. Right? They are giving Grievous 100% health immediately. If that isn't a flag that, like, hey, this team is looking to be very aggressive, very fast, is just looking for boom, done damage output. That's at least the impression that I get on this. What's the target that needs that? That's where I was kind of hinting towards, but about to go is like, I feel like there's a world where you cut B2 and keep Magniguard. On some level, B2's whole identity was to try to step in and have a say when enemies did stuff. And if we're just going based on the things CG is thinking about, on some level, this feels like CG looking at the dynamic B2 had and offering a non-RNG B2. Now, this isn't handling the AoE dispel job that B2 had by any means. Literally at all, it's not handling. But in terms of, they take a turn, you reactively take a turn, and you try to get a little bit ahead, this is fulfilling that role. And if we want to go matchup hunting on some level, there is going to be an aspect of Magniguard's immediate stealth will solve some problems for us. That's just kind of unavoidable. I could see this being a little bit of a toolkit situation where you just bring whatever you feel would be most relevant. Diminishing returns and diminishing efficiency aren't the same thing. I'll let you all have that out. I'm not really qualified to have an opinion on the matter. I feel the Omicron not having a non-GL clause in it, does that hint towards a Separatist GL soon? I mean, Separatist as a faction makes sense as, like, potentially having a candidate, but why does Stradica have a non? Yeah, I don't think many Omicrons don't have I don't really see any significance in that. It's cool that it's not there, I guess. The thing with diminishing efficiency returns was more so my understanding that relative returns for two stats that interact with each other, that at some point, once you've invested enough of one stat, that it's worthwhile, it's more worthwhile to invest in the other stat to match. There was some metaphor that they gave that, like, kind of clicked into place for me, but I'd have to, like, go back and search it up. Does a Separatist GL even look like? We're gonna see with their new units like Jawbone. Like, on some level, I feel like the Separatist GL would be about combining all of their mechanics together into one more cohesive. And you got factional identity among the 3 units. Like, the one place that CG has started to kind of explore with some units that I'd really like to see them lean in more to in the future is kits that are adaptive based on who you draft. Alright, like, we kind of see it with some of the Rebel Fighter stuff of, like, if the leader is... What was it? It was, like, tank Rebel Fighter versus support Rebel Fighter or something like that, do different things. I feel like one direction that CG could go to kind of encourage experimentation, but also reflect the roster that we have now, is go a direction like that, where, like, you know, if a Geonosian blank is present, blank effect kicks in. Type stuff. Like, if anything, the whole, like, they did work very hard to separate Geos, Grievous, and Trench into mutually exclusive teams. Whether or not they were successful with that, I mean, in TW they were successful, maybe. In GAC, disagree. Newt belongs to Grievous first and foremost, and Wad I could not give a shit about more for Trench. Yeah, Rex, like, they've been playing with more releases recently, and I do think that it would be a really cool direction for the future of the game if they just keep exploring that type of stuff. But yeah, right? It's like... I think it's fine. It's a good thing that CG kind of worked towards that, like, separation to, like, delineate the teams more and give you a reason to, like, make the Separatist droid E. I don't think that's a reason to, like, never print a Separatist again. Or, like, that they have to be the unique things. I don't know. Some of the most iconic moments in this game's history are when you have a good character that wants to be in multiple teams, and the most defining aspect of your playstyle is what you choose to do with them, right? Meaningful choice. And so, like, I mean, look, man, there's a lot of teams out there now. There's how many? Hang on. Let me pull it up. If I can find. Oh no. Excuse me? Does it just not exist? Oh, here we go, I think. No, damn dude. Alright, I got nothing. Google Sheets has just forgotten one of my projects. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that. Oh no, here we go. Surely this will fit fine. Yeah, it's pretty squished. Here was the general head count that I have. All right. I think it's okay if a Separatist GL says, maybe you don't have a Separatist droid in a trench in a G-Notion. Good luck, man. There's a lot of teams. Oh, this is for 33. 22 size board. No, it's not. Oh, no, it is 22 because it was lava times 2. You get what I'm saying. We finally get the GG Datacron or STAP. We already have a GG Datacron. What are you talking about? It's literally live right now. You can go play it. It's there. The dream was ready for you all along. GG level 9? Yeah, it's there. It's right. It is literally go live. Go now. Go play it. It's there. It exists. You can have it. Okay, how many penalties are there for not having Scepter? Yeah. Probably not. They didn't want stat bonus turned into like amp ag stat newt triple up start reader trade shit show. That's fair, I guess. But so here's gonna be the ultimate issue is the fundamental pitch that CG is making in this kit is not consistent. The best case that you could say is it's 285% chances. If those 85% chances fail you just don't get starting tournament. So then it's a question of how fast is the STAP. Did someone said CG says like fasts? Search for fasts. If it was naturally really fast but could be faster, you can speed up and it'll run circles around your opponent. Okay. We'll see what that means. I know there's ever a premise that you're supposed to hold recharge for like this minor extra boosts for 2 more normal turns. That seems really unlikely. But man, I don't know though, like, right? Because like if you run B2 and you've got the AoE dispel so that you can just kind of freely target whoever, being able to just freely pick and choose who you apply pin to, that's also like fairly significant. There's a world where I cut B1, I feel like. I mean, B1 does have a lot of invisible power. You've got the tenacity and crit avoidance. You got the assist providing extra turn meter every single turn. It's tough. Or there's a world where we just like skip Droideka. Because we don't have the Droideka Omicron, he can't necessarily assist on match start. So if we're looking for an aggressive game plan, it definitely could just be Droideka cut. Why are we cutting a droid for Droideka? What do you mean? There's 6 Separatist droids in 5 slots. This is just a stream delay moment. I think it's a stream delay moment. Alright. this wouldn't work, right? I guess we just see them all here and we just think about that. One of the things to remember, I guess... Oh, man. So if you land B2 assist call hits target lock, that's 30% turn meter. So this really is kind of a B2 light. Dude, it's... man, the fact that you don't get a guaranteed target lock anywhere is so brutal. The difference between a kit doing what it says it's gonna do and you low rolling is, like, catastrophic here. Almost. You can build Droideka to be fast. That's your... Fast Droideka is better than you think it is. I promise. Fast Droideka can literally be more aggressive than B2 or Bodyguard in some spots. Why is it on my ult? Why does it keep switching? What? If he's better than B1, this isn't about anyone specifically right now. We're just looking at the roster. We're being honest with ourselves about what each character is bringing. Why not run him with you? I just talked about this like 5 minutes. We just had that conversation. Yeah, that's just not really what they're looking to do, Guild Team. The appeal of Droideka isn't necessarily to call him to assist. The appeal of Droideka is that you can build him fast, go roll up quickly, and then you just get extra damage assist for your turn meter train. The reason to not run Droideka before was because it existed. What's the cooldown of the AoE? It's 2 turns. Okay. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of questions for tomorrow, I think. Base speed, base potency, base offense, ability ratios, maybe base tenacity. Like, base bulk is also kind of curious just to see if he could, like, how bulky he would really be with overcharge, but again, I just don't think that's really going to be a focus of this kit. No, overcasted. That's not on the first turn. That's only with the TW on Macron, right? And he has DI. You're not going to have DI on STAP's bonus turn. That's only with a TW on Macron. What's Manticore's unique exactly? Isn't it just like all allies stealth for 1 turn, non-sep-tank allies? Oh, it's just other because B2 stars in stealth. The stat bonus star would expose him immediately. Just with the battle though. Basically what I'm trying to look for a solve for right now is if there's any way that we can try to make this opening more consistent of a turn meter train. This team really truly would like to avoid being in a spot where you have to pass 285% chances. Or you just don't get the turn meter train you were promised. Fast Ridicule with B1 is technically an aggressive option as well. It's what, 50% turn meter? That's pretty fast. I mean, what is that? $417? It's like roughly Bounty Hunter Zam level. The problem is you're not technically only looking at this, you're looking at it in context of what it makes B1. And that's a different conversation to have. Wait. Wrong. 336. Goes 395. I feel like that's still falling short of people like Malgus or Riva. So honestly, I feel like we're very much in a position where it was kind of relevant back in the day, but I didn't talk about it all that much, or like very much just like proposed it as being a more optional thing. Grievous speed could matter very quickly and very easily here, right? Suddenly, the relative speed that all of them gain, I feel like becomes way, way, way more important here. Because it's what? Grievous gains 8%, Sep Droids gain 4%, Seps gain 2%, if I remember right. Yeah. So Grievous being like the initial follow-up looks increasingly very likely here. Anyone confirm it's a marquee? I would assume so. Also, YouTube chat is still not working, I just realized. Hello, YouTube side of things. I can see you now. I promise at some point OBS will actually function correctly. That merge chat can work again. Good God. YouTube chat, I apologize if I missed anything. This is not the way I would prefer this to work. Also, this page is still bugged, huh? Using the ability other than we need to recharge. So that would technically work out a turn, but that would... I mean, the rest of the Sep Droids don't really have a way to force that, right? Trying to end up somewhere like this, and then all of a sudden it's weird questions of like, well, if we care about being fast, how fast do we really care about being? Right, I forgot. So fast B1 into Newt is what I was trying before. Wait. This dude is so slow. I forgot how slow he is. I guess flat health primaries are also getting action here, right? It's kind of crazy. Still not finding it, huh? Do I just not have good crit damage health mods? I feel like I farmed some at some point for Andor. So I guess we're looking for speed, crit chance, flat health, potency. I guess it's kind of this guy, right? Could also be this one. Should still be triple health sets. How can you be sure? There's a decent chance I'll need to do some slicing for Grievous. I think this is just a sector of mods I haven't put too much effort on. But what are we even talking here? Not really sliceable. I mean, I should save it until we look at other slicing options. Decent slice health. Cinderella story. It's still so weird to me, man, because there was a point in time where, like, I still remember these mods as if I was actively working on this shit. And it was funny to me, too, because I was like, I've got a Relic 9 Grievous, right? And I think it was just my brain thinking of, like, the Relic 7 or Relic 8 era, where Grievous was one of the first ones. I was like, yeah, he's max Relic, right? It's like, no. Hell no. Okay. I mean, there's definitely a world where it's almost like you need to start farming fresh. Slices here for flat health and potency. Not happening. I mean, this is kind of the thing, right? Like, all my best health mods are doing other things. We're in a post-Ray type era. That's just... I don't know that I really have mods that I'd be like, oh yeah, that's a Grievous mod. Like, I just assume if I just even do like this. Because it would be a decent amount of damage added, right? I mean, okay, so this stands out. I guess, but it's a rough speed. Alright, it's like, this is offense focus. Also, we should be... Technically, we would be here. Yeah, it's like, just not mods that I really have too much focus on. Chamber Luck Abuse done? Okay, it's that easy. Just go do that. Was it the crit damage set one or the health set? I don't remember. It was the crit damage, right? That's more like it. That's about right. Yeah, no. Have to split to the back-to-back. I was hoping I could exploit it, just wasn't in the cards. Okay, so what's the actual math here? So if you hit the 3-piece, if you got the 24% turn meter on Grievous, what's up, Germanican? There we go. Post-slicing operation, it works now. And we would ideally want to, like, boost the rest of the slots as well. Greed time, probably not. Probably just have slicing to do first. No? Not quite. Alright, like, under this hypothetical, continue to jam more stats. Continue to jam R9. And just hope big number go big. Taking bets on where stab lands on base speed. They said naturally fast. I don't know if I believe naturally fast or if that's like... There's a world where they're just gonna like print him with like 200. And I'm talking 200 before the plus 50. Keep in mind that subs do not have a speed limit. My hope for them would be that he's naturally fast, so that even if you low roll on the target lock, you still get to play the video game. Also, one of the biggest questions I'm going to have is where B1 assist lands in the ordering. Right? So think of it this way. I think B1 typically always lands first. I mean, you look at the animation. So this is very delayed, so B1 is definitely happening before STAP, but like... Again, B1's animation hits very fast. Like, if you're calling B2, this is slow as shit. So you're not going to get a potential turn meter proc from B1 on the opener. But if you did something like Fast Droidica, you can. The thing that I think something like a Turbo Droidica would smooth out is, let's say only one of them hits. Like, let's say B2 whiffs, STAP hits, you get 10% turn meter. But B2 can work with the target lock that STAP made. Droidica rolls up, B1 assists, B1 gives Grievous 8% turn meter, B1 also gains 19% turn meter, right? The reason why I was talking about Droideka is not because of the reasons that people think about Droideka. The reasons why I was thinking of Droideka is because he has plus 50 speed at a special. And you build him fast so that he can kind of assist along the way. It's kind of some nice damage upside. Droideka is the fastest member of the Separatist droid group. Can use my courage, GG. Wait, potentially, sure. You mean like its current mods? I don't even know what that has on. It's probably not amazing right now. 3v3, not exactly a mode he is key for. I mean, the real answer between whether you choose crit damage or health, unless there was just a massive disparity, and the real answer is you're going to choose whichever one has better secondaries, I would imagine. Better speed secondaries, and if they're equal on speed, then you just choose the one that has better flat health on it. It's a shame this mod rolled so poorly. Yeah. This is not a mod market that I really have put a whole lot of effort into, and I think, I mean, depending on how much this proves out, this definitely will be a media project, I think. See what type of damage I can do. So this is what? Fast. Health. If it's a health primary, go flat health. Potency secondary upside, maybe care about crit chance. But it's really just speed, percent health, flat health, potency. Man, I'm a little bit concerned for the well-being of the rest of the squad, though. The amount of team tax that he's gonna be doing is not insignificant. Actually, it's a B1 if I remember right. Isn't it based on Grievous? All droid allies recover 5% of their leader's max health and protection. If we're talking optimal Grievous secondaries, I think you would want to grab percent protection, just to try to optimize for E1 healing assists. I think that kind of has to be true here. I really don't think there's any way that we can, like, get this to happen after based on like team positioning or whatever. Maybe Magna, but range typically seems to hit before melee in my extremely limited testing. I completely forgot this was even in here. It's kind of funny. I don't know, man. I mean, is this going to be better than other projects? Because my Separatist droids are a bit lacking, right? B1, like 5 type stuff. I would be down to Relic 9 Grievous for sides. Right? It's a lot of return directly scaling with relics. But past that, I really imagine this is kind of going to be the Grievous show. Right? If Overcharge isn't spreading to the rest of the squad, especially. The normal output is just a normal output. This is just a means to give Grievous the ball. CD set, CD triangle beats out Hell set, crit image triangle by less than 1%. Yeah, so if the difference is that close, then you're really, this is really just a question of whichever sets have the best secondaries on them, right? You're strictly going on mod quality. Technically factors for if you're in situations where you can't crit. But if that's the boat that you're in, then maybe you have bigger fish to fry potentially. You want to trade 12% survivability for 1% damage. How often has Grievous' survivability ever mattered? That, and then the fact that, like, especially in this team, A, they're just playing for aggression. B, like, you're doubling his health. Greeting on crit damage. I think he'll be okay. Man, this squad could be really weird and technical. I kind of like it. I don't, again, like, I'm kind of wondering, like, is there room for us to try to exist in, like, a Reva type space? I am... What's Seven Sister Assist do? We don't necessarily care about that, but torture... But it's a bonus turn, so even if STAP gets tortured, we don't care. Technically, in a kind of funny way, STAP is in a speed race with Grand Inquisitor under that dynamic. Kind of goofy. STAP doesn't cleanse himself, right? If Grand Inquisitor went before STAP, you would lose one bonus turn, so that would be a little bit tragic for you as well. Also, you'd be concerned that Grand Inquisitor makes tenacity up. You would definitely want to be able to outspeed Grand Inquisitor. I forget exactly what Grand Inquisitor's speed line is before. You'd also have to be worried about third sister or seventh sister reactivity. I wanted to say it was like 25 or 50 speed. Yeah, it's like 25 speed here. Minus 25 here. And what was third sister? Man, he is plus 30. There's an 80 delta. That is going to be... I mean, I guess STAP is... But STAP is only plus 50 after his... Alright, STAP is probably not going for it. Droideka is literally almost more competitive. I mean, we don't know what STAP's base is. But basically, Droideka is, like, actually kind of competing on the speed line. Not for, like, a 350 GI, but 330, 340. But also, isn't there a weird... Because the Delta isn't the Delta. Because this is minus 25 speed to us, which would also impact... So it would technically be more like... Would it be like we lose 28 or something like that? And it'd be more than that, right? We would lose half of 25, so we'd lose 37. The tragedy of being percent health. But still, other than that, like, if you really wanted... Yeah, Droideka could be like 1 or 424. The return of initial Deca. We'll see, man. I might do a test stream for this. I guess we're in a 3v3 season, so like there's no benefit G was. I would seriously doubt there's a benefit GAC was. I guess it is still just like a Grievous bomb. Maybe it's not nothing. I think the Grievous damage is the biggest X factor for me right now. That's the biggest thing where I'm like, okay, what's this actually gonna play like? All right. I guess the last thing there is to kind of mention is if CG mentioned that they wanted to do stuff for Phantom Menace, I think. And if that's true, then is this officially the end of, or at least, I mean, whatever. January in some years we had a character but no ship, so it would lend itself to imagine that sometimes it'd be a ship with no character. But do we assume that there's going to be more sub focus, more Phantom Menace focus? Right, it's like you look at the marquee calendar. Like you look at early February from last year. You're seeing stuff like Tuskens. You're seeing stuff like Gal. Like Tuscans never really led to anything aside from the raid, but still was indicative of the upcoming direction of the game. This was for an event. You go back and look the year prior. Like, end of January, beginning of February, it's Inquisitors. Alright, leading up to some. So maybe it could mean more sub stuff. Maybe. Also, I just realized we got Aiden in January, and then a year later we got Aiden Tai. We got Zori, and then a year later we got Zori ship. But there's no... The cycle has broken. There's no January marquee to get a ship next year. It's tragic. GL bug. I mean, what, like Geonocean Queen? I really I don't think a sub faction that specific should get a GL. At least not yet. There are wider swaths that you could cut. I mean, I don't care that much if they wanted to do it. I mean, all I care about is that they do what they think is interesting. If they have a good idea for a Geonocean GL, then fuck it, do it. But especially if it's a heavily factional GL, that it really just kind of limits the amount of theory crafting you could do. I guess, you know, if you look at like Java, like the Hut Cartel faction, yes, it has like 12, but in reality it has more like 7 or whatever. Like maybe it's not all that different from just being a Geonocean sub faction. The moment you were informed about the cycle, it stopped existing. Yeah. It was fun while it lasted. When is Armor getting a ship? I guess that's a real question. She missed out here. She got scammed. Alright. I think I'll call. Yeah, we'll see. There is some potential here. There is also definitely a risk or question of use case and targeting and the issues that 5v5 faces right now. That is not going anywhere. But maybe. We'll see, man. Like, there's a chance that this is just gonna be wildly explosive. If he has good damage values and good base offense, and he's giving himself 100% offense, and then he gives Grievous 100% health, and they're just, like, exorbitant levels of damage. I mean, there's at least a world where you could possibly price out full Bad Batch and just trap people in that respect. You would almost... I would have a very hard time imagining that Shock Batch would ever lose to this. But if your goal is either to tax people on Shoxy elsewhere, or just bait people into like, oh, it's Grievous, I'm gonna run Bad Batch. Oh god, I didn't get to play the video game. That power fantasy could exist. Like, if you're in Kyber 2 or whatever, you could probably take people for a ride and farm people with this. People don't read kits. People don't check. They sure as shit don't check your speed on Andronica. So, if you want to farm Billy Bad Batch, that potential exists. If you want to make people like get flashbacks as if they're like If you want to make your opponent ask, wait, did I suddenly queue for Conquest and didn't realize it? There is potential for that. I mean, listen, man. STAP is going to become playable, and people will use Bad Batch against Grievous, and if you build your Grievous team correctly, which nobody's going to do, I promise you, but if they did, Bad Batch is going to get fucking mowed, because Bad Batch are a fairly honest team without Shock Team. Bad Batch is used to, I get to go first and I get to echo AoE you. And the moment that you get a Grievous team that says, actually, I have bad news for you on that front, it's not looking good, Chief. It's spectator mode. You literally get nothing. You have nothing. You could say that Bad Batch is just as much of a sitting duck as Bo-Katan Mandalore. You just get to watch. You get to play spectator mode as you get fucking mowed to oblivion. So in that respect, this will stop Bad Batch. And if you think your opponent is just going to default to Bad Batch or whatever, you can farm minus 20 banners. That is real. But as with Shock gets added, you get fucking mowed. It's this is mow or get mowed era. See, the key is you need to bait their Shock T in the front wall and also hope that they forget that 20 other teams exist. And then you can farm Bad Batch, and then you get that plus 20 banners. It's that simple. I mean, whatever, man. If we're talking an efficiency meta, then maybe there's something to be said for how aggressive this team can be and the fact that it can probably throw some punches on the way out and take some banner attacks. Given the state of 5v5 right now, you have to at least tip your hat in that direction and acknowledge that, like, that could be competitively meaningful. Or let's get killed by GLs, like everything does. Probably that. Your Grievous team just died for 68 banners. Please fix 5v5, bitches. Please fix 5v5, man. Ugh. Anyway. We'll see. Be watching the patch tomorrow with great interest. There's a pretty solid chance that I'll do a STAP test stream. Just gonna have to think long and hard on matchup tables and if there's anything meaningful that I can actually do in 5v5 or 3v3. If there's an angle that I truly want to try, then we'll do a test stream and I'll pick up the character and we'll use them. If not, it's a solid enough kit. I'm glad that they made it. I think a lot of characters who are releasing right now are going to be paying for the sins of a mode that's not their fault. In 5v5, it's just a very small board in a meta that desperately needs change. Alright, but we had a lot to talk about today. There are angles for how to build this team. I like that it's unorthodox angles. I like that this character is suddenly making me talk about Turbo Droideka again. Right? I like that the optimal version of this team is not going to be intuitive, that it rewards you for taking a second, looking at the kits, reading at the kits, thinking of the mechanics, and like how you can leverage them. I think I like this character. I hope we can get a game soon that rewards characters like this for existing and not just dooming it to... Because this is the thing, right? If this is a character that exists on offense, and the banner attacks on your team is as bad as I think it's going to be, you suddenly have an offense-only character that is punishing you for taking to offense. So, we shall see. The hope that you would have for pretty much a lot of teams that are printed nowadays, maybe you can kill something like Reva, maybe you can kill something like Malgus. Malgus seems way less likely, and especially in the meta that we're in right now, I mean, it's a fucking Dalcron meta, so that dream is like instantly just obliterated. Okay, maybe it's not happening. But the dream that you would have is that the damage nuke is just big enough that you just mow some shit. We'll see again. I'm gonna stew on it. We'll see where I come out on the other side. The kit sounds fun enough, and it's crunchy enough mechanically. I would like to see it and what it looks like when it's optimized well. I just don't know if they have a place in the game right now. We'll see. All right, I'm out of here. We will be back for sure on Thursday, but also Helldivers comes out, so I might be on Wednesday night, and depending on what I'm in the mood for, I might just marathon Helldivers until STAP comes out. I think Helldivers is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious on how this whole persistent online shared campaign is going to go. We'll see. I would like to hyperfixate on the game. It looks pretty damn good. Anyway. Yep. That wraps the STAP. Peace out.